I want to share something with you. Like I said, I was stationed in Japan. I was at Yokota for 3 years. And man, it's kind of unfair I've been overseas this whole time. Because I've met some amazing people and I've been to some amazing places, all in the Air Force. I was in Germany, I was in Korea, I was in Japan for 3 years. And I met somebody there. But I want to ask you a question. Do you believe in fate? Do you believe in fate? Do you believe that there are people in this world that can radically alter the course of your life? I'm telling you, so when I was there, I had a lot of great times. I made a lot of memories. I met a lot of amazing people, but I got a lot of regret too. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. But if there's one thing that I do not regret, it was meeting a man in Japan that changed the course of my destiny. When I was in Japan, I was in the HVAC shop. I was a senior airman. I became a staff sergeant. I was a craftsman. I was a lead. In that shop, we had about 14 GIs, and we had about 14 or 15 Japanese nationals. And these Japanese nationals, we worked alongside them. And there was a guy in that shop who was the foreman, and his name was Shinji Hosobuchi. And Bush, we used to call him Bush. He spoke the most English out of all the Japanese guys. Bush, he was actually a guy who came to the base, Yokota, 20 plus years ago. He didn't know any English, and he didn't know any HVAC, but he wanted a job. Air Force took him and gave him a job. And he learned HVAC, he learned English, he learned all these things just by working with the Americans and working with the Japanese. And he just learned the craft. 20 plus years later, he's the foreman. He's leading the HVAC shop at Yokota Air Base. And there was something else about Bush that everyone knew about. Bush, he used to go off on these really long and philosophical Japanese rants. He was a very philosophical guy. And every time, you always like knew when the onset of one was coming because he'd get frustrated and he'd get red and he'd just start to like fume. And as soon as we knew, like all the GIs were in the room and they were like, he's gonna talk, and like everyone just started getting out the door, like we'd leave. But I used to like to stay and listen to Bush. I had an office next to him eventually. I used to like to stay and listen, and he would always say to me, Ikigai, Rostami-san, Ikigai. Always said that to me, Ikigai. He said that for months. And I remember one time I was just like, Bush, what the hell are you talking about? Ikigai. And I'll never forget, he was sitting at his office, he's sitting at his desk, and he just looked up with like this most like annoyed look on his face. He was just like, and he put his glasses down, and he had a whiteboard behind his desk. And he said, Rostami-san, kite. And kite meant listen. They listen. And he took his marker. And he drew a circle with a heart in it. And he said, Rostami-san, in life, you have to find what it is that you love. And I was just looking at Bush and I was like, what the fuck? Like, of course, I was like, I know, that's right. I got it, Bush. And he said, Rostami-san, kite. And he drew another circle. And he said, Rostami-san, in life, you also have to find what it is that you're good at. And I said, that makes sense. And he said, Rostami-san, in Japanese, we have a word for this. I said, what is that word, Bush? He said, this is your passion in life. And I was like, whoa, never heard it put that way before. If you're doing what it is that you love and you're doing what it is that you're good at, this is your passion. I said, that's interesting, Bush. He said, Rostami-san, chanto kikinasai. That meant pay attention. And he drew another circle, and in that circle, he wrote down what the world needs. He said, Rostami-san, in life, you also have to find what the world needs. I said, He said, we have a word for this in Japanese as well. I said, what is that word, Bush? He said, if you're doing what it is that you love and you're doing what the world needs, he said, this is your mission in life. This is your mission in life. And now that really got my attention. I've never heard it put this way. If you're doing what you love and you're doing what the world needs, this is your mission in life. And I thought about it. I'm like, think of all the Martin Luther Kings and the Mahatma Gandhis and the Mother Teresas. Gandhi was deathly afraid of public speaking. He was a lawyer, but he would shake when he had to speak in front of people. But he was doing what he loved, that was helping people, and he was doing what the world needed at the time. It was his mission. But then he said, Rostami-san, kite, kiki-nasai. Listen. And he drew another circle. And in that circle, he wrote a yen sign and a dollar symbol. And he said, in life, you also have to find what you can get paid for. And he said, we also have a word for this in Japanese. If you're doing what it is that the world needs and what it is that you can get paid for, we have a word. I said, what is that word, Bush? He said, this is just a job. This is just a job. And he's right. In life, in the world, we have jobs. We got cashiers, we got clerks, we got all these things, and no discredit to anyone that does a job like that. I was a Burger King cashier for a long time. First job. It's just a job. The world just needs it. That's it. Did anyone join the Air Force to become a VCO? Did anyone join the Air Force and say, man, I can't wait till I'm a safety monitor? Like, that doesn't make, no one did that. It's just a job. But then he said, Rostami-san, chanto kiki. Listen, pay attention. I said, I am, Bush, I'm listening. He really got my attention at this point. He said, if you're doing what you're good at and you're doing what you could get paid for, we got a word for this too. He said, this is your career. And that made a lot of sense to me because we got a lot of people, us included in the Air Force, who are doing what we're good at and we're doing what we could get paid for. But it's not necessarily what we love. We're just trying to make it to retirement so we can do what we love. That's our philosophy. Just need to make it there so I can finally do what I love. It's not our passion. HVAC is not my passion. It's just a career. Doing what I'm good at, doing what I can get paid for. And he said, Rostami-san, if you're doing what you love, if you're doing what the world needs, if you're doing what you could get paid for, if you're doing what you're good at. We also have a word for this in Japanese. I said, what is that word, Bush? And in the middle, Ikigai, Rostami-san. Ikigai. I said, what is Ikigai, Bush? He said, this is your purpose in life. This is your purpose in life. And I'll tell you, this little diagram, Senior Airman Rostami, changed his life. This altered everything that happened after that. I was a senior airman. I was thinking about these things. Never really put to me like that before. It's crazy. We got jobs, we got careers, and then we got callings. We got Ikigai. It's not a job. It's not a career. It's a calling. It's why you showed up. He said, Ikigai, Rostami-san. And then he said, if you're able to find what you love, if you're able to work on what you're good at, if you're able to discover what the world needs, or the Air Force needs, and if you could see yourself worthy enough of getting paid for that thing, then you've conquered all 4 wars in your life. And if you could conquer all 4 wars, you've won the campaign of life. And he looked at me and said, Wakarimasu ka? Which meant, do you understand? And I said, Hi. Hi, Bush. Wakarimashita. I understand. And that's a question I have for you. I want to ask you, what do you love? What are you good at? What do you think that the world needs? What do you see yourself worthy enough of getting paid for? And if you've been thinking about these things over the course of the last 10 minutes, and you weren't really finding the answers that you were looking for? I got a theory behind that. And the reason is, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard finding these things. And as human beings, we have a tendency to do what is easy. We want to take the path of least resistance. But I'm here to tell you this. If you get nothing else from this class today, if you get nothing else, I'm here to tell you that if you do what is easy, that is making excuses. That is giving yourself a pass. That is taking the easy road. That is missed opportunities. If you do what is easy, well, your life is going to be hard. If you do what is easy, your life is going to be hard. But, if you do what is hard, that's getting up every day and making it an active effort of finding what it is that you love. That's getting up every day. If you do what is hard, that's working on your craft, working on what it is that you love, whether it's your full-time job or your side hustle. If you work on what it is that you are good at, if you do what is hard, if you could figure out what the Air Force of the world needs right now, if you could figure out that the Air Force needs more tour guides, if you could figure out what the world outside of this place needs, if you do what is hard, if you can find out what it is and build up your self-esteem and confidence about what it is that you see yourself worthy enough of getting paid for, in or out of the military, if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. You know, we talked about Dr. Howard Thurman, mentor to Mahatma Gandhi, Albert Schweitzer, Martin Luther King Jr. He wrote a book called Deep is the Hunger. And in that book he said, you know, don't ask what the world needs. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs are more people who have come alive. More people who have come alive. And that's what we're going to talk about before lunch here.